In the top stories, independent panel planning to review Destiny Development Zone. Antigua and Barbuda police warning of rising online banking fraud, and Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been arrested. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Major Newscast. Today's Thursday, the 19th of February 2026. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, the federal government has established an independent oversight body to review the proposed Destiny Special Sustainability Zone in Nevis. The body has been formed under the Special Sustainability Zones Authorization Act and will examine the application submitted to the federal cabinet by the Nevis Island Administration on the 29th of January. Officials say the group will operate separately from the Prime Minister's ad hoc committee, which is currently reviewing the legislation itself. Instead, the new body will focus specifically on the merits of the development proposal. Its role is to assess whether the project meets legal requirements, including the developer's financial and technical capacity, economic benefits, governance implications, and potential environmental and fiscal risks. The review will also determine whether the proposal aligns with the country's sustainable island state agenda and respects the constitutional powers of the state. The oversight body will include representatives from labor, business, professional organizations, faith-based groups, and heritage interests, with its first meeting scheduled for Friday. A written report will be submitted to the federal cabinet before any final decision is taken. Government has stressed that the creation of the body does not indicate approval of the project, but activates the safeguards built into the law. If the cabinet decides the development should proceed, the agreement would still require approval by both the Nevis Island Assembly and the National Assembly after publication and parliamentary debate. Officials say the process is intended to ensure transparency, legal compliance, and a decision based on facts and the long-term interests of the people. St. Kitts and Nevis recorded zero maternal deaths in 2025, a result the government says reflects strengthened monitoring and improvements within the national healthcare system. Prime Minister and Minister of Health, the Honourable Dr. Terence Drew, noted that maternal health is one of the clearest indicators of the overall state of a healthcare system, as it reflects the quality of monitoring, emergency response, and clinical care available to patients.
Zero maternal deaths. Zero maternal deaths suggests that we are a health system that is robust and a health system that is really advancing. To have zero maternal deaths is a good sign and signal that the healthcare system is taking care of some of our most vulnerable persons. Zero maternal deaths. Zero.
The update was shared during Tuesday's roundtable, where it was noted that all pregnancies across the Federation are now tracked through a national database. The Prime Minister said this allows health professionals to identify and closely monitor high-risk cases.
Significant drop in mortality, which means the number of people who died. That number dropped as well. So it means that, again, the health sector is showing significant improvement in that regard.
The outcome, according to officials, is a positive signal of how the system is responding to some of its most vulnerable patients. The broader health landscape was also highlighted, including a decline in overall mortality, the near completion of the Federation's MRI facility, and continued work towards a new national hospital.
So we have a database of all the women in St. Kitts and Nevis who get pregnant, whether they're in the private doctors or whether they're in the public system. And so we monitor all of.
Plans are also advancing for the introduction of an electronic health records system aimed at modernizing patient care and improving continuity across the network. Expanded social protection measures were also referenced, including lifetime medical insurance coverage for civil servants and government auxiliary employees. The government maintains that continued investment in infrastructure, technology, and human resources remains central to building a resilient and responsive healthcare system. The government has begun another phase of its plan to provide consistent water access across the Federation, with exploratory drilling now taking place at several locations. On Tuesday, Prime Minister the Honourable Dr. Terence Drew confirmed that a Trinidad and Tobago company is on island assessing potential well sites, including work currently underway in Sadlers.
We have contracted a company from Trinidad and Tobago who is now presently drilling. Right now, they are in Sadlers drilling. They have about 10 sites.
The activity forms part of a multi-layered approach to water security, designed to ensure communities have reliable, potable water 24 hours a day. The drilling program is being rolled out alongside the Federation's new desalination facility, which is already producing about 2 million gallons of water daily and is scheduled for commissioning on February 24.
Tuesday the 24th, we are going to fully commission the first publicly owned desalination plant here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Cost us around 50 to 60 million EC dollars.
Officials say the combination of desalination, well development, and system upgrades is intended to move the country away from periods of interrupted supply and towards a more stable service. Residents have also been encouraged to remain current with water utility payments, with government indicating that revenue collected is reinvested into maintaining and expanding the network.
When you pay your bill, the government does not make a profit. The government uses that money to invest in drilling, desalination plant. The government invests that money to make sure you can get potable water at any time of the day. That is our aim, and we are on a good path.
The initiative forms part of a broader national effort to build long-term infrastructure resilience and resource management. Regionally, the Antigua and Barbuda Police Force is warning of a notable increase in online banking fraud and unauthorized electronic transactions. In a statement, police say several individuals have reported suddenly losing funds from their accounts, describing the trend as a growing concern for law enforcement. Officials are now engaging the banking and financial sector to strengthen collaborative measures to protect customers and prevent fraud. Residents are urged not to share personal or banking information online, especially in response to unsolicited emails, messages, phone calls, or suspicious websites. Police also advise the public to never share passwords, PINs, one-time security codes, or security answers, avoid clicking unknown links, verify communications by contacting banks directly, and enable transaction alerts to monitor account activity. Anyone suspecting fraudulent activity is urged to contact the Criminal Investigations Department or their bank immediately. Still on the regional scene, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre says healthcare in St. Lucia remains extremely expensive as government moves forward with a universal health coverage push. Speaking at the launch of the Bon Sante Putu initiative, the Prime Minister revealed that government spent an estimated 200 million EC dollars on healthcare last year. As preparations continue for the national budget, 2 hospitals have requested more than $70 million in additional funding. The levy, introduced in August of 2023 at 2.5% on imported goods and selected VAT-registered services, is projected to generate about $45 million this year. However, that figure falls short of what one hospital alone has requested. Prime Minister Pierre said healthcare on the island is largely subsidized, estimating that 90% of services are free, but maintaining the system remains costly. He also disclosed that government is owed nearly $200 million in unpaid taxes, stressing that improved tax compliance is necessary to sustain public services. Health Minister Moses Jean-Baptiste confirmed plans to establish a universal health coverage authority, with draft legislation being finalized before presentation to Cabinet and Parliament. Since the program's rollout in 2022, officials report thousands have benefited from free services, including antenatal care, cervical cancer screenings, men's health consultations, and other critical interventions. Internationally, British police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the former prince, on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The arrest follows years of controversy surrounding his association with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, although he has consistently denied any wrongdoing. Thames Valley Police 4 in an attempt to override a legislature controlled by his Liberal opponents. The Seoul Central District Court ruled that Yoon mobilized military and police force to arrest political opponents and established unchecked power actions that amounted to rebellion. The martial law order lasted 6 hours before lawmakers broke through the military blockade and voted to lift the measure. Yoon was suspended from office in December of 2024 after impeachment and was formally removed by the Constitutional Court in April of 2025. He's been under arrest since July of that year while facing multiple criminal trials. 5 former military and police officials involved in enforcing the martial law decree were also convicted. Former Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun received a 30-year prison term. This marks the first life sentence for a former South Korean president since military dictator Chun Doo-hwan, who was sentenced to death in 1996 and later pardoned. Supporters gathered outside court while critics called for harsher penalties. Officials say the decision reflects South Korea's commitment to upholding democracy and the rule of law. And now for a look at the weather. Present weather across St. Kitts and Nevis is partly cloudy skies with slight dust haze. Winds are a gentle breeze of 9 miles per hour from the east. Seas are moderate with waves of 5 to 7 feet and swells of up to 6 feet. A high surf advisory remains in effect. Weather today will be partly sunny with brief cloudy spells and a 60% chance of passing showers. Tonight will be mostly fair and cool with a 20% chance of a brief shower. Sunset will be at 6:14 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:34 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Major Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.